Hey y'all, I just got a word and it's so encouraging. I heard damaged but not destroyed. Just because of the different things you're going through in life may have damaged you, that doesn't mean you're destroyed. That doesn't mean that God cannot use your damaged things that you've been through to develop you. Just like Mephibosheth. In the Bible, his feet were damaged. And because of that, he could not walk. But his damage was not caused by him. His damage was caused from the nurse that carried him. Sometimes the very people that carried you, or were supposed to carry you, or were assigned to carry you, sometimes they drop you, not knowing what they're doing and not intentionally trying to drop you. Sometimes they drop you. What does that look like? Well, I'll give you something from my personal background. God has been taking me through healing and through understanding and through a cleansing. And I've been having talks with my mom and getting a deeper understanding of what I went through when I was younger. So just recently, we were having a conversation about how I got put out my senior year in high school. And I'll just give y'all a quick little back history from it. So my senior year, I didn't know that my parents were on drugs. I didn't know that they were on, I'm not going to expose exactly what drug it was, but they were on something. And they were tripping. Their mind was gone. So I went to work, and when I got off from work one night, I came home and all the lights was off in the house. And I didn't want to stay home with all the lights being off in the house. I'm 17 years old, a female, in a not so good area. So I'm like, I'm not going to stay here. So I asked the lady that brought me home if I can go spend a night at her house because I didn't know where my parents were. And she allowed me to. So while staying over there at this girl's house, the girl started spreading lies, and I didn't know my parents had went to her and talked to her, and she told my parents a whole bunch of things that weren't true. So I called my parents and I'm like, hey, can I come home? And I'll never forget it. I was in Johnson Hall. And I don't know if y'all know, I'm from Lake Charles. If y'all know anything about Johnson Hall, it was like the hood of the hood. It was like New Orleans 5th Ward. Bad. So I'm standing out there with my gym bag, waiting for my parents to show up, and they never showed up. And so I called them and I'm like, what's going on? I'm waiting for y'all. And my mom went on to tell me, hey, your dad said you should just stay wherever you're at because the girl that your house you're at, she told your dad a whole bunch of things and it got him upset and he doesn't want you coming home. And I'm like, but Mom, I'm in school. What do you mean I can't come home? She's like, well, that's what your dad said and his feelings is hurt, so you could just stay where you're at. Mind you, I'm a senior in high school. I want to graduate, but I don't know how I'm going to do that without being home. So that night, I was heartbroken. I'm like, what did I do wrong? I went to work, came home, and the lights was off. So I'm thinking I could just go spend the night at my friend's house. I didn't know where my parents were and couldn't get in touch with them. When my parents were supposed to carry me and cover me, they dropped me my senior year. Well, fast forward, I want to say 15 years later, me and my mom have this conversation. And she's telling me about the different things that took place and how this lady lied and told my dad a whole bunch of things and how he was upset and, all the different things that they were doing at the time and how my dad was really strung out on this drug and how he was making bad decisions. And I told my mom, I said, the hardest thing for me was having to graduate my senior year. I say it was hard because I had no stable place to live. And I had to lie in order to be able to live with someone. I had to pretend in order to have a roof over my head, which caused me a lot of pain and suffering down the road. And I'll let y'all know about that later on in another video. But in my senior year when my parents dropped me, it caused me to go through a cycle of heartache, heartbreak, trauma, pain, warfare, just rolling through the darkness. Because when you're out there on the streets, you're subject to whatever happens on the streets. So I'm telling you that you can be damaged at a young age, and it carries you or follows you throughout your life. But just because you're damaged, it doesn't mean that you're destroyed. It doesn't mean that God can't develop you in that damage. God uses damaged people to develop great things in life, to become great people. Look at David. If you don't know the story about David, David put a man on the front line to get killed so he could take his wife, but yet God still used him, and he was a king. God can use anybody. He can use anything. He'll use your trauma and your pain from your childhood, from your adulthood, and he'll develop you. Do not count God out because of what you've went through, or do not feel like you're damaged and you can't start over again. I don't care if you've been divorced 1, 2, 3, 4 times. You still have value inside of you. You still have greatness inside of you. Just because you messed up 2 other marriages don't mean you're going to mess up the next one. I'm telling you, God can use anything. He can use your situations to bring greatness out of you, because it's all a learning lesson. It's all a part of your growth. Things we go through, it doesn't feel good, but it develops us into the person that God wants us to be. So I want to encourage you on today. Don't give up. Don't let what happened to you in your past or through your childhood stop you from moving forward and becoming who it is that God has intended for you to be. If you went through it, God is going to use it to bring greatness out of you. I struggled my senior year, but yet I still got my diploma. And I let my mom know, I've been forgave you for that. I've been let that go. I'm not holding on to that anymore. But God allowed it to be exposed so that way healing could take place. And so that way forgiveness could take place. You have to forgive and let it go. And let God use that thing to bring greatness out of you. Sometimes the things we go through in life is the very thing that other people need. It's a testimony to help someone else know how to come out, or how to forgive, or how to heal through that, or how to get over the trauma and the pain so that way you can move forward. Your tests are your testimonies. Your setbacks are setups for your future, if you look at it that way and if you allow God to use it. Just because you went through it, it doesn't mean that it's over for you. Quit carrying what you went through and get delivered from it. Get healed from it so that way you can move forward and become the person who you were always created to be. If your parents were liars and cheaters and manipulators, and you found yourself being that later on in your life, because I've been there, not knowing why I'm doing certain things, but I picked it up through the bloodline. But that doesn't mean I have to continue to be that way. I don't have to lie to get ahead. I don't have to manipulate people to do what I want them to do. I don't have to cheat my way through life in order to get ahead. No, the devil is a lie. You can do things differently. It's just a choice. Make a choice to do what's right. Make a choice to let it go. Make a choice to get healed. Make a choice to get delivered. And know that God is on your side. God can use anything you've been through. Divorce, heartbreak, bankruptcy, being let go from a job, not finishing or completing school. God can use that. Babies at young ages, God can use that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. God can use anything. Just allow him to heal you. Allow him to bring you through it. Give it to him. And let him change you. Let him transform you from the inside out. It's just a word for y'all today. Damage is not destroyed. Delayed is not denied. And God is developing you in the middle of it. I love y'all. Later.